Hey, Restore, this is Pastor Ryan. I'm really excited to be with you to celebrate the second week of Advent. And this week we're talking about joy. And last week, Pastor Dave talked about hope, and it was awesome. And I recommend you listen to that. And if you missed it, go back and take a look at it and listen to his message on hope. Phenomenal. This week I said we're talking about joy. And we're going to look at a passage in Luke chapter 5. And so let's jump right in. Luke chapter 5 says this. In the time of Herod, king of Judea, there was a priest named Zechariah who belonged to the priestly order of Abijah. His wife Elizabeth was also a descendant of Aaron, both of whom were righteous in the sight of God, observing all the Lord's commands and decrees blamelessly. But they were childless because Elizabeth was not able to conceive, and they were both very old. Once when Zechariah's division was on duty, he was serving as priest before God. He was chosen by lot, according to the custom of the priesthood, to go into the temple of the Lord and burn incense. And when the time of the burning of incense came, all the assembled worshipers were praying outside. Then an angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing at the right side of the altar of incense. When Zechariah saw him, he was startled and he was gripped with fear. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah. Your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you will call him John. He will be a joy and delight to you, and many will rejoice because of his birth. For he will be great in the sight of the Lord. He is never to take wine or fermented drink, and he will be filled with the Holy Spirit even before he is born." Amazing, right? "He will bring back many of the people of Israel to the Lord their God, and he will go on before the Lord in the spirit and power of Elijah, to turn the hearts of their parents to their children and the disobedient to the wisdom of the righteous, and to make ready a people prepared for the Lord." Sounds familiar. Zechariah asked the angel, how can I be sure of this? I'm an old man and my wife is along in years. The angel said to him, "I am Gabriel. I stand in the presence of God, and I have been sent to speak to you and to tell you good news. And now you will be silent and not able to speak until the day this happens, because you did not believe my words, which will come true at their appointed time." Meanwhile, people were waiting for Zechariah and wondering why he stayed so long in the temple. When he came out, he could not speak to them. They realized he had seen a vision in the temple, for he kept making signs to them, but remained unable to speak. When his time of service was completed, he returned home. After this, his wife Elizabeth became pregnant and for 5 months remained in seclusion. "The Lord has done this for me," she said. "In these days he has shown his favor and taken away my disgrace amongst the people." We're going to jump to verse 39. At that time, Mary got ready and hurried to a town in the hill country of Judea, where she entered Zechariah's home and greeted Elizabeth. When Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the baby leapt in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit. In a loud voice she exclaimed, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the child you will bear. But why am I so favored that the mother of my Lord should come to me? As soon as the sound of your greeting reached my ears, the baby in my womb leapt for joy. Blessed is she who has believed that the Lord would fulfill his promise to her." It's kind of an awkward story, right? There's this moment of John, of the moment of Zechariah coming to the knowledge that he was going to be a father was kind of this awkward interaction between Zechariah and the angel. When Sarah and I started dating, we had started dating in college. I think it was probably our sophomore year of college. We started dating. I think it was late fall of that year, and at one point we went home, and Sarah and I grew up kind of near each other. We were a few hours away from each other, and so one break, to make it easy on Sarah and her family, she rode up with us from break, and so she was at my house, my parents' place, and her parents were then going to drive down and pick her up at our house. And so while we waited, she was at our house, and I had met her mom just briefly, but I hadn't never met her father. So I knew her mom just, like I said, briefly. Sarah and I and Pastor Dave, we worked at a Bible camp together, and so for years we had kind of worked every summer. We would get together and kind of hang out, work together at the camp all summer, and then we'd go our separate ways and come back during the winter for camps, stuff like that. But so Sarah was at our house, and I decided while she was there, kind of hanging out, waiting for her parents to come pick her up. For some reason, I don't know why, I decided to shave my legs, and I had never done it before. And I just thought this would be a really great idea, right? This was going to be like a good idea for me to do that. And so I don't know what I was thinking. I know what you're thinking, Ryan. Why would you shave your legs? And I can honestly tell you, I don't know. I have no idea. The best thing that I can tell you was at the moment, it sounded like a great idea, right? At that moment, it just sounded like this brilliant idea. Not sure why I did it. Having never shaved my legs before, I went down to the basement bathroom of my parents' house, and I cranked on the water, and I found a razor. I don't even remember if it was a lady's razor or a men's facial razor. I don't remember. I went down to the bathroom, and I put shorts on, and I rolled the shorts up all the way, really tight, so they were short shorts. Who wears short shorts? Pastor Ryan wears short shorts, all right? If that's what you were wondering. So they were short shorts, and I sat on the edge of the bathtub and started to shave my leg, and I realized partway through one leg that this probably wasn't a great idea, right? I started to nick and cut my leg, and there was going up that shin bone. I don't know if you've ever shaved your legs before, but going up that shin bone, it's not great. It's not easy. And so I shaved my legs, and I remember getting like partway through both legs and realizing, wow, this hurts, and there's blood, but I had to go through, right? You couldn't stop partway through and have half-shaved legs, right? At least I didn't think you could, and so I just kept going. I powered through, right? That's what you do when you're in the middle of shaving your legs when you're a college sophomore, right? You power through it and you shave your legs. And so I did this. I shaved my legs all the way through. I get done, and they burned. My legs burned so bad, and I've never shaved my legs since then. They were burning, and there was like cuts all over my legs, and so and I get out of the bathroom, and I go left, and then I go right up the stairs, and at my parents' house, this stairs from the basement that go up to like a landing, a small landing, which is kind of like the split, the way to come in the front door. You come in the front door, there's this landing, you come in there, and then you go up another set of stairs that goes right into the kitchen dining room, which is a big open space, right? And so here I come. I walk up the stairs and I get the lamb. I start talking, and I know Sarah's upstairs with my folks. And I don't know if my siblings were there or not. And I walk up the next set of stairs to go up into the kitchen, into that landing, and I'm just talking to them about how, oh my goodness, my legs, Sarah, I can't believe I did this, and why you should have told me this was going to hurt. And I'm talking about shaving my legs and how much they burn and hurt, and I got my shorts on, right? I walk up, and as I walk into the dining room, into the kitchen area, I'm still talking about how painful my legs are in that moment. And as I turn up, I look, and there are Sarah's parents, her mother and her father, and my mom is there. And I'm sure there was much disappointment in my decision to shave my legs on their part. But my mom would have probably said something like, well, you get what you deserve, right? You chose to shave your legs. That's what you deserve. You deserve that, to have that painful experience. And I did. I did deserve that. And as I looked over, I just remember this awkward moment, right? As I stood there with my shorts on, shaved, burning legs, toilet paper blood spots all over my legs as I had cut myself everywhere. Just this awkward, hi, my name is Ryan, I'm dating your daughter, right? Thankfully, this awkward moment didn't lead to Sarah wanting to break up with me, but more importantly, it didn't lead to her parents letting her know that this probably isn't the guy for you to date. Awkward, weird. I don't think that was what they expected our first meeting to be like. This definitely wasn't my expectations of our first meeting. And I've not shaved my legs since. I did find out that I think someone said, her mom or maybe Sarah said, well, it helps if you have shaving cream or whatever soap to take care of that, right? Thankfully, this didn't deter them from keeping Sarah away from me. But here's the thing. As awkward as that was, can you imagine this awkward moment where Zechariah is standing there at the altar? He's getting ready to light the incense, and as he's getting ready to do this, boom, this angel's there, and he's like, whoa, what's going on here? And the angel says, don't be afraid, I got some amazing news. You're going to have a kid. His name's going to be John. He's going to be just joy. I mean, he's going to bring joy to those around him. He is going to prepare the way. And this amazing, phenomenal moment that Zechariah should be just like, that's awesome, I'm so excited, is met with, I'm old, and my wife is long in her years, right? And the angel of God is like, look, man, I'm Gabriel. I stand in the presence of God. I was sent here to tell you great news. Man, it's not the response I was expecting from you, Zechariah. This is awkward. gonna have to. I'm. You can't speak until the kid's born. And the angel was so clear and is bringing this joyous moment to Zechariah, this moment that should have filled him with joy, and yet he has this just weird response. This is the response that doesn't make sense in the moment. This moment that should have been so full of joy was filled with, are you sure? It's almost as if Zechariah has this identity crisis. You know I'm old, right? You know my wife is long in the years. Gabriel just announces this massive job description, this massive life description of John. Beautiful moment. Are you sure? Are you sure you already have the right people? Who are you? What are your credentials? You're an angel, what, your name, where are you from? Man. It's an awkward moment. When Zeke was born, he was a month early, and he was small, and he had to spend an extra few weeks in the NICU because his body hadn't developed that extra weight to help him maintain his body temperature, and he didn't have the strength yet or the endurance to consume the necessary fluid, the bottles, to thrive. And so they put him in the NICU, and he was there for a while. And I remember those first few days of him being in the NICU, and people were in and out, and it wasn't just us. Just kind of this really odd time. This time when we were excited and we were happy and we had a lot of joy, but there was this. We knew we weren't like, we hadn't. I wasn't there. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. He hadn't been released from the hospital, and he wasn't just us, right? So it was just this weird space of we knew we were a family, but it just felt odd. And so the deal was that for Zeke to be released, he had to finish a full bottle for every feeding for 24 hours before he could be released and go home, before he could be discharged. And a few days into our wait, we had been going every day, spending all day there with him, and then going back to our hotel room and going back to the hospital the next day, and it just repeated its cycle for a number of days. And near the hospital, kind of down the hill, was this deli that we would eat at occasionally. We'd go down there and have lunches when we would take our break to go away. And I remember one day, one morning, Sarah had got Zeke to drink an entire bottle, and this was like 2 ounces. He drank it all, and we were ecstatic, we were excited, but I hadn't done it yet, right? Yeah, there's something that, and so we waited a couple of hours, and it was time for him to eat again, and he drank his first full bottle for me. Man, that was exciting. I was just like, yeah, and man, I was just so jacked up and happy, and we went down to the deli and I ordered my sandwich, and I sat down at my plate, and sandwich was there with fries and my drink, and Sarah was across from me and had uh, her meal. As I sat there, I prayed for my meal. I didn't look up. And I looked over at Sarah and down on my sandwich. And I paused for a moment. And in that moment, everything hit me. It hit me that my son had drank his first bottle. This was our first day of just being us at the hospital. And I remember as I sat there, pausing, Sarah was eating her sandwich or her meal. The joy of finally being a father and a family was finally hitting me. See, the weight of this joy, it was as if someone had just literally just dumped this bucket of joy that I've been holding, and bam. Sarah looked at me and told me to knock it off. She said, "Stop. If you start, I'll start." And I just started to weep. Tears poured down my face as the weight felt like it was gone, and as the joy consumed me in that moment. The people around me probably had two thoughts. Either this man has just received the greatest sandwich of his life, or the absolute worst sandwich of his life. Either way, they were going to go get one right now and try it. See, Zeke was still in the hospital. My joy hadn't been completed, right? The completion of my joy was when he would be exiting the hospital, leaving. That's when my joy would be complete, but it wasn't there yet. It was kind of like this process, waiting for the process to end. Oh, he has hung there. I wasn't at the end of this battle, this moment, this trial, but we had a ways to go. But I can tell you that the problem is that there are times in life we don't see the joy in the process. And then we call into question the goodness of God, right? So I had to finally acknowledge the joy, that just the simplicity of feeding a bottle, the joy in the process, that I don't have to wait until the process is complete to experience joy. See, I wasn't happy, because see, happiness is different than joy, because happy would be when he was released. I was still hurting and sad that he was in the hospital with these wires and cables all over him. But see, happiness is based on the happenings. Joy is based on who has happened to me. And I will tell you, in that moment, God was happening to me. God had been happening to me. He had been just flooding me in those moments, saying, "Ryan, I love you so deeply. I want you to experience this joy." There can be joy in the process. See, I think Zechariah was missing out on something. Zechariah was missing out on this idea, this moment that he couldn't. You're telling me I'm going to be a father, but it hasn't been fulfilled. He should have just experienced the joy in that moment. There's joy in the process. In the eventual outcome, we'll have joy. But in this moment between the telling of the baby John and the birth of baby John, there can be moments of joy in that process. See, the joy continues to build and grow deeper and get stronger. On the counter side of this story, we have this amazing moment where this unborn John, this baby John in his mother's womb, hears about his cousin, the Messiah. And it's not like he goes, now, can you let me know what the specifications are about the angel? I really want to know the angel's credentials, right? I mean, are you sure because you're a virgin having the baby? See, this unborn, this infant, this baby John in his mother's womb leaps for joy, right? It says in Scripture that the baby leaps for joy at the sound of the Messiah. The joy in process, not yet fulfilled, but still there. Romans 15:13 says, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. See, I want you to be, what God is saying, I want you to be filled with joy to overflowing, so that what happens when you fill a cup with water and you keep filling it and keep filling it and keep filling it, it'll overflow and it starts to go all over wherever it can, right? It leaks onto your counter and floor and chairs, and it gets into everything, right? When you fill that cup to overflowing, it gets into other areas of your home. See, the joy that God has for you and for me was never meant to stay with us. See, Jesus doesn't say, I'm going to give you just a little bit of joy. I just want to give you a little bit of joy and see how you do with it. When God says, I want to give you all the joy. I want to fill you with all the joy so that it will overflow in your life. And why? Because then it gets to other people's lives. See, the joy that God gives you was never meant to stay with you. It was meant to overflow into the rest of your life and to those around you. See, I wonder how often we hold out on the promise God has for us. See, we do this, don't we? We hold out. We say, God, I'm just going to wait until it's fulfilled before we really go. See, don't let the why something's happening to you let you stop from obeying God. See, we will know God has something for us. We'll have this sense that God is bringing something really cool into our lives, or maybe He is promising something for you. He's made a promise to you for something, and rather than trusting God and experiencing the joy through the process, we hold ourselves back. We respond like Zechariah does and go, let me just wait on that. Can you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you? See, to spread the joy, we need to accept that we can have joy in the process, but I think we also need to acknowledge that the gratitude in our lives. Right? So I think we need to acknowledge that what He's already given to us. See, if we're willing to celebrate joy at the end of what we're going through, we're going to miss all this moments of joy in between. Joy in process. share your joy. That's my challenge for us today. See, we have this amazing opportunity as we go through life that sometimes we have these really rough moments that are difficult. And God promises that He's never going to leave us or forsake us. He promises that these trials and tribulations will not last. And so there is an end date in this moment, and we don't need to wait until things get better to experience joy. You see, you and I can experience joy right now in the process. For the others of us, things are going great. Man, God has been just blessing you and doing some awesome stuff. And I want you to know that even in the process of the things that are going really well in your life, there's joy there in those moments. See, and God promises that He's going to fill you to joy overflowing. He's not going to stop to just enough. He's going to overflow you so that you can share your joy. There are people around us that are just begging for joy. There are people around you that they need to see your joy. They need to see that through the highs and through the lows, through the good times and the bad, that God is bringing joy to your life. That your circumstances, the things you go through, do not stop the joy from coming in your life. So today, I just want to share the joy. There are times in my life where I need to just experience joy from someone else, right? That I just need to grab a hold of some of their joy, and so their joy overflows into my life. And then God fills me up deeply, and I get to share that joy with other people. And that's what I get to do, and that's what you get to do. So today, my challenge for you is either, no matter if it's the highs of your life right now or the lows of your life, wherever you're at, joy is in process. God bless.